Right now, if your cat is on your lap, something physical is happening inside your body. And you have no idea it's occurring. It's not warmth. It's not comfort in the way you normally think about comfort. It's something measurable, something the science community has been tracking for years. Your cat's purr operates at a specific frequency. And that frequency, that exact range of vibration, does something to the human body that researchers did not expect to find. By the end of this video, you will never hear that sound the same way again. Because it isn't just a sound. It's a mechanism. And it's been working on you without your knowledge. We need to start with a number. 25. That's the lower boundary, in hertz, of a domestic cat's purr. The upper limit is 150 hertz. Most people hear a purring cat and think, relaxed animal, happy animal, content animal. That's true. But it's also the most incomplete interpretation possible. Because here's what scientists at the Fauna Communications Research Institute documented after years of studying feline vocalization across dozens of species. That frequency range is not random. 25 to 150 Hz happens to be the exact range that human tissue responds to most strongly. Not approximately. Exactly. Bone, muscle, tendon, all of them. This is where the science gets uncomfortable in the best possible way. Because this means your cat has been emitting a frequency that physically affects you every single time it has ever purred near you. Let's back up and understand what we're actually talking about. Sound is vibration. Vibration is energy moving through a medium, air, water, or in this case, the tissues of your body. When your cat purrs directly on your chest, or on your legs, or curled beside you while you sleep, that vibration doesn't stop at the surface of your skin. It travels inward. Researchers have measured this. The mechanical energy from a cat purring in direct contact with a human body creates what is technically called vibroacoustic stimulation. And that term matters. Vibroacoustic therapy, the clinical application of sound vibration to the body, is a documented medical field. It's used in hospitals. For pain management. For bone density. For joint recovery. Your cat has been doing an informal version of this to you for years. Every time it settled on your body and began to purr, it was delivering mechanical vibration to your tissues. Unintentionally. Constantly. Now here is where the first major finding enters. In 2001, Dr. Clinton Rubin at the State University of New York published research on low-frequency vibration and bone density. The core finding was stark. Exposure to vibration in the 20 to 50 Hz range, at low intensity, was shown to measurably increase bone density and accelerate bone healing in animal models. The lower range of a cat's purr sits directly inside this window. Rubin's work was not about cats. It was about physical therapy and space medicine, how to keep astronaut bones from deteriorating in zero gravity. But the frequency matched. Exactly. When the connection was drawn between that research and feline purring frequencies, the scientific community had a problem. This implied that cats had independently evolved a vocalization that happens to produce therapeutic vibration for the species around them. No one had designed this. No one had engineered it. Your cat didn't learn it. It was already there, built into the biology of every domestic cat, every wild felid that purrs, before humans and cats ever met. Take a moment with that. Because it means the cat that has been sleeping on your chest, on your broken wrist, on your sore knee, was doing something real. Something measurable. Something the body responds to. Let's go deeper. Bone is not static. It is living tissue that responds to mechanical stress. The medical term is mechanotransduction, the process by which physical force is converted into biological signals inside the cell. When bone is exposed to low-frequency vibration in the therapeutic range, the cells respond. Osteoblasts, the cells responsible for building bone, increase their activity. Density improves. Healing accelerates. This is documented in the literature. The cat purring on your fractured arm is not a coincidence of timing. The vibration is directly in contact with the bone. The bone is responding. Whether you believe it or not, the mechanism is already running. Now let's talk about what happens above bone. Because the effect doesn't stop there. Researchers examining the full spectrum of documented cat purring effects found something that surprised them more than the bone data. Blood pressure. A 2008 study conducted by the University of Minnesota's Stroke Institute tracked cat ownership data over 10 years and more than 4,000 participants. The cardiovascular finding was striking. Cat owners had a 40% lower risk of dying from heart attack compared to non-owners. 40%. In a dataset spanning a decade and thousands of patients. That is not a rounding error. The researchers were careful to note that this correlation does not prove causation. Cat ownership involves many variables: lifestyle, personality, household environment. But the signal was too strong to dismiss. Something was happening. Here's what we know the purr does to human nervous system response. It activates the parasympathetic system, the branch of your autonomic nervous system responsible for rest, recovery, and lowering cortisol. The opposite of fight or flight. This is not metaphorical. When your cat purrs, your nervous system reads the sound and vibration as a signal of safety. I see life. Your body physically shifts its chemistry in response. Heart rate drops. Blood pressure lowers. Muscles release tension. You thought you were petting your cat to relax. You were. But the cat was also doing something to you at the same time, in the opposite direction. It was delivering a biological signal your body already knew how to respond to. There is a word for this in behavioral biology: mutualism. A relationship in which both parties benefit. Not the cat benefiting from warmth and safety, and you benefiting from company. Both of you, simultaneously, running the same biological exchange. The cat gets thermoregulation, physical contact that reduces its own stress hormones, and the security of a closed social bond. You get a nervous system calmed by sound, tissues mechanically stimulated by vibration, and cortisol levels that drop measurably. Neither of you planned this. Neither of you learned it. It is built into the biological structure of both species, the cat to produce the frequency, the human body to respond to it. The relationship created the mechanism. Or the mechanism created the relationship. Let's go somewhere stranger. Because cats don't only purr when they're content. This is where the biology becomes genuinely difficult to explain with simple models. Cats purr when they're injured, when they're giving birth, when they're in pain, when they're dying. The purr is not exclusively a signal of happiness, it is something the animal produces under extreme stress. And this changes everything about what it means. A cat purring in pain is not sending mixed signals. It is running a biological process that serves a different function in that context. Researchers call it self-directed vibroacoustic therapy. The frequency that helps human bone density is the same frequency a cat produces when its own bone is fractured. The same range. The same mechanism. The animal purrs itself through injury because the purr has a healing function for the cat itself. Let that land for a moment. The cat is not just calming itself when it purrs in pain. It is actively stimulating its own tissue repair using a biological mechanism it carries in its own vocal anatomy. This is why cats have a documented reputation for faster recovery from musculoskeletal injury compared to dogs of equivalent size and equivalent injury. The frequency they produce during healing is not incidental. It is the method. And when that same cat lies down on a human who is in pain, on the chest of a person with pneumonia, on the knee of a person with arthritis, on the wrist of a person who has just had surgery, it is producing that same frequency. Whether the cat knows what it's doing in any cognitive sense is a question we cannot answer. What we can answer is, the vibration is real. The frequency is in the therapeutic range. The human body responds. The mechanism exists, regardless of intent. Now let's talk about something more specific. Because the frequency isn't always the same, and that variation matters. A cat's purr is not a flat tone, it cycles. It modulates continuously between 25 and 150 hertz. That cycling matters because different tissues respond to different frequencies within that range. Bone responds most strongly near the lower end, 25 to 50 hertz. Tendon and cartilage respond to the mid-range, around 80 to 100 hertz. Muscle responds across the full range. The modulating purr, constantly shifting frequency, covers all of these. It is not a coincidence that the range covers everything. It is the complete therapeutic spectrum for soft and hard tissue, running continuously. Dr. Elizabeth von Muggenthaler at the Fauna Communications Research Institute put it plainly, the domestic cat has essentially evolved a built-in healing mechanism in its vocal structure. And that mechanism, when directed at humans in contact, transfers. Now here is the part that changes the relationship between you and the animal in your home. Because this information reframes something you may have dismissed. The cat that slept on your chest when you were sick was not just seeking warmth. It was detecting something. Cats respond to physiological change in the humans they're bonded to. Body temperature shift, heart rate variation, cortisol in sweat, breathing pattern change. Your cat reads your body continuously. It has been doing this since day one. When your physiology changes, when you're stressed, when you're ill, when your body is in repair mode, your cat detects the shift and responds. And the response it has evolved to give is proximity plus vibration. The cat that appears suddenly when you are sick, that refuses to leave your side, that settles specifically on the part of your body that is in pain, is not being sentimental. It is running a behavioral protocol that its biology built in. And that protocol produces exactly the frequency range that your body's tissue uses to heal. This is no longer soft science. The frequencies are measured. The tissue responses are documented. The behavioral pattern is observed across every bonded cat population studied. Let's bring in one more layer of the science, because we haven't talked about pain threshold yet. And the effect of vibration in the purring range on pain perception is the most recent research frontier in this area. Low-frequency vibration applied to the body has been shown to reduce perceived pain intensity through what is called the gate control mechanism. Vibration signals traveling through nerve pathways can effectively reduce the intensity of pain signals traveling through the same pathways. The mechanism is competitive. The vibration signal and the pain signal travel toward the brain on overlapping neural routes. When the vibration signal is strong enough, it reduces the pain signal's effective intensity. Not psychologically. Neurologically. A cat purring in direct contact with injured tissue is producing vibration of sufficient amplitude to measurably interfere with pain signaling in that tissue. This has been documented. Not speculated. Documented in peer-reviewed literature. Which means the cat on your sore shoulder is not just comforting. The purr is, at the level of nerve signal, quietly reducing the intensity of what you're feeling. It is acting mechanically on your pain pathway. Now think about how long this has been happening between humans and cats. Domestic cats and humans have coexisted for an estimated 10,000 years. 10,000 years of this exchange, every bonded cat, every sick human it sat beside. Before modern medicine. Before pain management. Before anything resembling structured healthcare. The cat was already there, producing the frequency, resting on the injury, running the mechanism that 10,000 years later researchers would spend careers trying to quantify. There is a reason cats became companions in every culture that encountered them. And it was not only their usefulness against rodents. They brought something else that humans felt without having language for it. Something that registered in the body, not just the mind. Now let's move to the part of this that is harder to measure but impossible to ignore. Because we've been talking about the physical. But the interaction between human nervous system and feline purring also has a psychological dimension that runs parallel to the biological one. When you hear the purring of a bonded cat, your brain does something specific. Neuroimaging studies show activation in the reward pathway, the same pathway activated by close social contact, by music that moves you, by physical warmth. The sound itself triggers the response. Researchers studying the acoustic profile of a cat's purr found that it contains an embedded higher frequency component, around 300 to 600 hertz, riding on top of the low fundamental. This component activates a different response than the low frequency. That embedded frequency is acoustically similar to the cry of a human infant. Not identical, but similar enough that the human auditory system responds to it with urgency and effective response. Your brain hears it and pays attention. It cannot not pay attention. This is the same mechanism behind the solicitation purr, the sound cats specifically evolved to use when they want something from humans. But the bonded resting purr uses the same embedded component. Your brain registers it as a signal that requires response. You lean in. You stay. The cat is not engineering this consciously. But the acoustic structure of its purr is doing something extraordinarily precise. It is producing a sound that human biology is predisposed to respond to with attention, care, and proximity. And proximity is what delivers the vibration. So the full picture looks like this. The cat purrs. You hear it and move closer, or you stay still instead of leaving. You give it physical contact. Which puts the cat's vibration in direct contact with your body. Which delivers the therapeutic frequency to your tissue. The acoustic component keeps you present. The low-frequency vibration does the biological work. The nervous system response runs in parallel. All three mechanisms operating simultaneously, the entire time, every time your cat has ever purred on or near you. Now here is what the research cannot fully explain yet, and this is important to say clearly, because the science here is real but incomplete. We do not know if the vibration alone produces the documented cardiovascular outcomes, or if bonding is the primary driver. We do not know the minimum exposure time needed to produce measurable tissue effects. We do not know if the effect is cumulative over years of regular contact, or if each session is independent. The mechanism is established. The dose is not. What we do know is this: every cat, across every domesticated feline lineage, produces this frequency. Every bonded cat seeks physical contact with its human when that human is under physiological stress, and the vibration it delivers falls inside the therapeutic range for human tissue. Every time. That cannot be coincidence. It is too specific, too consistent, too aligned across too many independent variables to be random. Something about the relationship between the species and ours built a biological exchange into the structure of the interaction. Now I want you to think about the specific cat in your life. Think about where it sleeps. Think about where it chooses to rest when it's near you. Think about the last time you were unwell and where it positioned itself. Most people, when they think carefully, realize their cat makes specific, consistent choices about where to rest relative to their body. Not random positions. Not wherever is warmest. Specific places. Often places that correspond to where they carry tension, injury, or illness. Researchers studying bonded cat behavior have noted this pattern. Cats show location preference when resting on or near humans, and that preference is not purely thermally motivated. Cats will choose a cooler position near an injured area over a warmer position elsewhere. The animal is reading your body. It has been reading your body from the beginning. And it places itself where its biology tells it to place itself, where the vibration it produces will make the most contact with tissue that the cat has detected as compromised. Here is where this becomes almost impossible to frame without going somewhere the data alone cannot take us. Because what we're describing is a relationship built, over 10,000 years, on a form of care that the animal produces by simply being what it is. Your cat does not decide to heal you. It does not calculate the frequency. It does not analyze your physiological state and develop a treatment plan. It detects change, it seeks contact, it purrs. The rest of it, the frequency, the tissue response, the pain reduction, follows from its biology. And yet the outcome is care. Real, measurable, documentable care. Delivered without intent. Built into the relationship at a biological level so deep that neither species designed it, and yet both species benefit from it in every single interaction. We have spent years asking what we do for cats. What we give them. How we care for them. The question that the science of the last 2 decades has been quietly asking back is, have you considered what they've always been doing for you? Every night your cat spent beside you. Every morning it found you before you got out of bed. Every time it settled specifically on the part of you that was hurting, it was running a mechanism your biology was already built to receive. Without either of you knowing. That is the relationship in its actual form. Not pet and owner. Not animal depending on human. A biological exchange, running continuously, across 10,000 years of coevolution, producing something that medicine is still trying to measure properly and fully name. 25 to 150 hertz. That is the number. That is the frequency range your cat produces every time it purrs. That is the range your bone responds to. Your tendon. Your muscle. Your nervous system. Your pain pathway. The cat on your lap right now, if you have one, is vibrating at that frequency. Your body is responding. The mechanism is running. It has been running every time, for as long as you have had this animal in your life. You thought you were the one taking care of it. You were. But the science says the exchange was never as one-directional as it appeared. The cat in your home has always been doing something back. Something real. Something physical. Something measurable. And the most remarkable part of all of this is not the mechanism. It's the timing. Your cat doesn't purr louder when you're healthy and purr softer when you're not. It finds you when you're not. It gets closer when the signal changes. It stays. That specific behavior, seeking proximity under stress, increasing physical contact during illness, positioning over injury, is not trained. It is not learned from other cats. It appears in every bonded cat regardless of how it was raised. It is built in. which means somewhere in the long arc of how this animal and this species came to live together, something selected for a cat that finds its human when the human needs it most, and delivers, through nothing more than presence and the frequency in its chest, something the body uses. The science will keep refining the parameters. The studies will keep adding precision. The mechanisms will get cleaner names and more exact measurements. But the core of it is already established. The purr is not incidental to the relationship. It is built into what the relationship is. Next time your cat settles on you and begins to purr, let it stay. Not for sentimental reasons. For biological ones. Your tissues are already listening. Your nervous system is already responding. The mechanism that took 10,000 years to build is already running. You don't have to believe it. Your body already does. It has for every moment this animal has ever been near you. The science just finally has language for what your body already knew how to receive. If your cat has ever found you when you were at your lowest, if it has ever placed itself exactly where you needed it without you asking, tell me about it in the comments. Describe exactly what it did. Because I want to know what this looks like in your specif.